Investing can seem a big step into the unknown, and very few actually ever begin their investing journey. In fact, only 21% of us Brits hold shares, and only 17% have a stock and shares ISA. This tells us that something often holds us back in the UK when it comes to investing. And I get it, investing can be scary. There's a big perception that all investing is high risk, and even if we want to invest, it's hard to know where to start, as let's be real, we're not taught how to invest in schools in this country. So instead, most of us in the UK just tend to stick all our leftover money in savings accounts. However, with this approach, we're missing out, since over the long term, investing will provide better returns than saving. So if you want more out of your money and are thinking about investing, then you're watching the right video. Today, my goal is to provide a guide on how you can invest your first £100 in a low risk, high return strategy. And importantly, I'll make it simple and low effort. Then we no need to dive into heavy investing books like this one. So to achieve this goal, I'm going to break down the video into 4 straightforward steps. The first step is understanding why you simply need to invest. The second step is looking at what investment account is best for you. The third step is looking at what investment platform is best for you. And the final step is looking at what to invest in. But before we get started, if you're new to the channel, I'm Alex, a management consultant by day, and on this channel we like to talk about all things personal finance with particular focus on how to grow your money. And we provide new videos every week on this channel. But for this video, let's get into it, and let's start off by answering the first question in why you simply need to invest. To put it simply, investing provides the best means to grow the value of your money over the long term. And importantly, it provides a mechanism to beat inflation. Inflation, of course, represents the increase in the level of prices for the goods and services we buy regularly. And it's important that the growth in the value of our money beats the inflation rate, as otherwise the real value of our money will go down, in that it will be worth less and we won't be able to buy as much with it. If you consistently invest and grow your money at a faster rate than inflation over the long term, you can also build up a really good pot of money thanks to the compound effect. And the compound effect means that you get returns not only on your original sum, but also on the returns you previously made. And let's bring up a compound calculator just to show how powerful this effect is. First, we need to make some assumptions. Let's assume that you get an investment return of 8% each year. This is a fair assumption given historical returns for global stock market investing. Let's also assume that you're investing for 20 years, a 20-year time frame, and let's assume that you deposit £200 each month. If we click calculate, we can see that based on these conditions, you can build up a pot worth over £117,000 just by investing £200 a month for 20 years, showing the power of the compound effect. So to answer the question, why invest? Investing will help you beat inflation, beat saving returns, make some good money, and help achieve any goal you may have, as investing will help build up a pot of money which then helps you achieve your goals, whether that's retirement, whether that's a wedding, whether that's saving up for a house purchase. Investing will help with all of that. And now we know this, the next question is, what is investing? To put it simply, investing is where you put your money into something you believe will go up in value over time. The most common form of investing for most people is stock market investing, where you buy shares in one or more companies. Here, through buying a share, you effectively own a slice of a company, as a share is simply a divided up unit of the value of a company. For example, if a company is worth 200 million and there's 100 million shares, then each share will be worth £2. There are 2 main ways to make money with shares. Firstly, dividends, which are distributions of profits to shareholders, and secondly, increases in the value of shares. And the most common mechanism to make money is increases in the value in selling for a higher price than you bought. So for example, if a share is worth £2 and goes up 100% in value, then the share is worth £4. And if you sell at this price, you make a £2 profit, as you bought for £2 and sold for £4. You may now be thinking, well, what determines the value? As of course, we'd all like to invest in companies which will go up in value over time. Value is mainly determined by perceived worth, and the perceived worth is mainly determined by the big buyers out there. Over the last few years, big buyers have been extremely positive about AI companies, as they believe their products will be the future. So they've been investing a lot in these companies, and because of this, many AI companies have increased in value. So most people who invested in AI company stocks a couple of years ago and sold recently will have made some tidy profits. This sounds cool in wheeling and dealing, but unfortunately investing for most people isn't as sexy as it seems from the Wolf of Wall Street. The reality of long-term investing tends to be pretty boring. Most people invest in a few shares or funds, keep an eye on them for several years, and then cash in when they're happy with the returns or just need the money. This method over the long term has historically provided a proven way to make money, and for this reason, long-term stock market investing will be the focus for the rest of the video. And now we know what investing type to concentrate on, we can get your investing journey up and running. And the next step is knowing what account option is right for you. So let's go through the main account options. You've likely already invested in the first account type, and you've likely already invested more than £100 in this account, which kind of defeats the title of this video, as you may have already begun your investing journey without knowing it. And you will have done this through a workplace pension. Most people working for a company will automatically be enrolled into their employer's pension scheme. And before you think about any other investing account, make sure you're at least making the most of any free employer contributions into your pension scheme. Employers are legally required to pay at least 3% when you pay in 5% into your pension scheme. And many employers provide an even higher percentage as long as you match. It's known for some employers, particularly in the public sector, to match up to 20%. So it's worth maximising these contributions first, as it's free money, before thinking about any other investing account. Another benefit with investing through a pension is that you don't pay tax on money invested, meaning your money will go further through pension investments than if you invest outside of your pension. However, a negative of pension investing is that the access is restricted, in that you can only take out money from the age of 55, and this age will increase to 57 from 2028 onwards. Nonetheless, the tax benefits make pensions ideal for investing in the long term. The next account is another pension account in a SIP, a self-invested personal pension. This is different to the workplace pension with higher flexibility and control, as here you choose the investments you make, whereas with the workplace pension, typically the employer's pension provider chooses the investments. With the SIP, you also get the same tax advantages in contributions, and when you get to the age you want to take the money out, you can have a 25% tax-free income, and then after that, the basic income tax applies to whatever you take out. However, the negative of a SIP is that you might not benefit from the employer contributions depending on your employer's policy. For most people, they won't need a SIP, as their employer's pension scheme, their workplace pension, will be the only pension account they'll need, and they can increase their pension contributions as needed with that account type. So that's the main pension account types. The next investment account types we'll go through give you more flexibility to achieve other goals. When investing, most people have a goal in mind for what they'll use the money for, from retirement to a property purchase to just building up a pot of money to do what they like. And for me personally, I'm looking to build up a pot of money to give me freedom to retire early. So it's important to choose an account which allows you to achieve your goals. And the account which will suit most people's goals watching this is a stocks and shares ISA. This is my favourite investment account type. You can access the money anytime in this account, and this is perfect for beginner investors, as you may be slightly scared of having restricted access, and you may not know exactly when you need the money. There's also tax advantages in that any gains you make on the investments inside the account are tax-free, but it's worth noting that there's a limit of 20k contributions per tax year, which runs April to April. Where possible, many people have the aim to max this allowance out, and believe it or not, this approach has created many ISA millionaires. These guys have simply put 20k in their account every year for several years, and benefited from investment growth and the compound effect to make them millionaires. So this account is great for investors for the flexibility and tax benefits. The next account type is a LISA, a lifetime ISA, and this is suited to those who are saving up for their first time property purchase or for retirement, as money can only be taken out for these uses, otherwise you'll have to pay a 25% withdrawal penalty. But the restrictions could be worth it, as there's a massive benefit in that the government will top up your contributions by 25%. There's a 4k yearly limit, so if you contribute the full whack, 4k, the government will give you a bonus of £1,000. It's worth noting that this account can only be opened for those between 18 to 40 years of age, but because of the government bonus, this account is perfect for those saving up for a first-time property purchase. And those who want to invest more than £4,000 each year can do so by also opening a stock and shares ISA, then investing up to the £20,000 limit as a combined total between both accounts, the LISA and the stock and shares ISA. The next and final account is a general investment account. This is just a standard investment account which doesn't have any of the tax benefits of an ISA, but it also doesn't have any limits on how much you can invest inside the account. This account is suited to those who want to invest above £20,000 and have already maxed out their stocks and shares ISA. So to summarise what investment account is best for you, firstly look to maximise any employer workplace pension contributions, and if you have anything left over to invest, then a stock and shares ISA will be the best account option, with the exception if you're investing solely for the purpose of saving up for a first time property purchase. In that case, a LISA will suit. And now we know what account type suits you, the next step is choosing your investment platform. When it comes to investing, it's quite similar to doing your food shop. Before you actually choose what food you want to buy, you need to choose your supermarket. And with investing, before you choose specific stocks or funds, you need to choose your investment platform. And the good news is that there's more platforms in the UK than there's ever been. Rather than comparing all the platforms, as that would take a video in itself, I'm going to make this really simple by only recommending 1 or 2 platforms per account type, based on them having low fees and being easy to use for beginner investors. Of course, all the platforms I recommend will be FCA regulated and also protected by the FSCS scheme, meaning you're protected up to the 85k limit should any of these platforms go bust. So let's get cracking with the recommendations. We won't consider what platform is best for your workplace pension, as typically this is restricted to your employer's choice, but for SIPP I recommend either Vanguard or InvestEngine, as both have low fees at just 0.15% as a platform fee, and they also both have good selections of funds. On Vanguard, you have access to their full fund suite of over 80 funds, and their life strategy funds are particularly perfect for long-term pension investing. And on InvestEngine, you have access to over 500 funds, and again, there's some great funds in there. You may have noticed that I've only used the word funds here, as there's no individual shares available on these platforms, but typically with your pension, it's best to invest in long-term focused global stock market funds to reduce risk. So these platforms are very much suited to pension investing. For the next account option in a lifetime ISA, unfortunately there isn't many platforms out there in the UK which offer this account option. However, I recommend Moneybox as they have low overall fees for a 0.45% platform fee and a low monthly £1 subscription fee. They also have a very easy to use app and a small but good fund selection for beginner investors. In particular, they have free ready-made portfolios which are perfect for the purpose of building a pot of money for a house purchase. For stocks and shares ISA and general investment account options, I recommend InvestEngine again, as they actually have no platform fees on the DIY side of the platform, and this is market leading in terms of no fees. The only fees you'll pay for these account options with InvestEngine is the fund fees themselves, which range anywhere between 0.05% to 0.50% on average, depending on what fund you choose. And you'll need to pay fund fees on whatever platform you use anyway. As we mentioned in the SIP section, InvestEngine is also beginner friendly, as they have a great fund choice, over 500 funds, and also a great feature set to make investing super simple. For example, once you've chosen your funds, you can set up an automated payment plan so money is automatically taken from your bank account and invested into your funds of choice on a regular basis. And this saves you a whole lot of hassle and time in not needing to manually go into your investment account and top it up every month or so. InvestEngine take care of all of this. And if you want an in-depth review of the platform, you'll be able to find a link in the description below. They also have a great sign-up offer at the moment where you can get up to £50 as a welcome bonus when you invest your first £100. Terms and conditions of course apply, and there's a link in the description below also for this. The drawback of InvestEngine's platform is that they don't offer individual shares. And if you're really set on buying individual shares, then I would recommend trading 2 on 2 for the stock and shares ISA and general account options. They also have no platform fee, but they do have a foreign currency conversion fee of 0.15%, which means that if you buy shares or funds in a foreign currency, you'll need to pay this fee. Nonetheless, they're still much cheaper than their competitors who offer shares in terms of fees, as there's only that single fee, there's no platform fee. For most people watching this who are beginner investors, I recommend InvestEngine over trading 2 on 2, as funds are much more suited to beginner investors compared to shares for reasons we'll come on to in the next section. And InvestEngine are the cheapest and easiest way to buy funds in the UK I've seen. It's worth noting that for all these platforms, it's very simple to open an account. In most cases, it only takes 5 minutes. You'll need information such as your national insurance number, proof of address, and something which identifies you, such as a passport or a driving license. And I won't go through the process, as the platforms themselves do a real good job of guiding you through how to create an account. So for any of these, it'll be super simple. And now we know what account type and platform is best for you, it's time to choose your investment. And this is where the fun really starts. I'm going to make this simple again and recommend, as a beginner investor, you invest in a global stock market fund. You may be tempted to buy individual shares, maybe of one of the big tech companies of Apple, Amazon or Microsoft. On paper, this seems a valid approach, as these companies have seen significant growth in recent years and outstripped the performance of the general market. However, just because they're the biggest and best performing companies today, doesn't mean they'll continue to be in 10, 20, 30 years' time. If we take a look at the biggest companies in the US over the last 40 years, we can see that the best performing companies change as years and decades go by. For instance, IBM dominated much of the 80s as the biggest business in America. Then the likes of ExxonMobil and General Electric dominated a lot of the early 90s and early 2000s. Then the big tech companies emerged, and since 2010-ish, the likes of Apple, Microsoft, Amazon and Google have dominated. So history shows that betting on the biggest companies today isn't necessarily the right approach and is very risky. And stock picking more generally is very risky in itself, as so much technical research is needed to pick winners. And various studies have found that most stock picks tend to lose investors' money. So for these reasons, beginner investors are not suited to buying individual shares, and they're much more suited to buying funds as a lower risk approach. The great thing about funds is that you're not putting all your eggs in one basket. Instead, your money goes into a range of investments, saving you need to pick individual investments you think will do best. Think about it this way: if buying an individual share is like backing the star player of a football team, a fund is equivalent to picking the entire squad. As if one player doesn't do well, there are others who can pick up the slack. However, it's also worth knowing that not every fund is a juggernaut of diversification, especially if it focuses on only one theme. For example, there are industry-specific funds, such as a robotics fund, which only concentrates on companies in the robotics industry, or country-specific funds, such as a FTSE 100 fund, which tracks the 100 largest publicly listed companies in the UK. These funds lack diversification, which is a must-have for any savvy investor, as diversification reduces risk. Since if companies in one country or sector don't do well, you will have companies in different countries and sectors which do better, so you're not overexposed to one country or sector. And the best way to achieve diversification across countries and sectors is a global fund. These funds are typically diversified across developed countries, emerging countries, nearly all industries, and include both large and mid-sized companies. They consist of thousands of world-class companies and provide huge diversification, while still tilting towards the American stock market, so you still get good exposure to the biggest companies in the world, such as Apple, Amazon, Google, Microsoft, and so on. So through buying just one of these funds, you buy into the prospects of entire industries, countries, and continents, which is perfect for beginner investors. There's many global funds out there, but the one I recommend is Vanguard's FTSE All World. Vanguard are a very well-known fund provider, and the fund itself is low cost and ticks nearly all the diversification boxes. The only thing it lacks is exposure to smaller companies called small caps. And if you want that exposure, then you can buy an additional fund in a small cap focused fund and add this to your portfolio alongside the Vanguard FTSE All World. However, for most people watching this video, investing in the Vanguard FTSE All World alone will be enough. And if you want to invest in this fund using the platform I recommend in InvestEngine, all you need to do is sign up to InvestEngine. Then once you've done that, you can use InvestEngine's search bar to type in the FTSE All World, Vanguard FTSE All World, and you'll see that two funds come up. One is distributing and one is accumulating. And distributing means that it pays you dividends directly from the companies inside the fund. And accumulating means that the dividends are ultimately reinvested into the fund. For most people watching this, the accumulating version will be better, as then you don't have the hassle of needing to reinvest. So the accumulating version is the one we'll use in this example with the ticker VWRP. And if we click on it, we can see using this graph that since July 2019, this fund has gone up by over 48% in value, which is neat. And if we scroll down, we can see the fund breakdown. Under the Holdings tab, we can see exposure to the biggest companies in the world, so Apple, Microsoft, Amazon, Nvidia, Meta, Alphabet, Tesla, and so on. And if we go to the Regions tab, we can see the great diversification across regions, across North America, Europe, Japan, Asia, emerging markets, and so on. And if we click on the Sectors tab, we can see the great diversification across different sectors. And to invest in this fund, it's very simple. All you need to do is click on the Invest Now button, and then either add a lump sum, so for example £100, or start a savings plan, which is a regular payment plan. You can set that up on a weekly, fortnightly, or monthly basis, depending on how regularly you want to invest. So that's the process of how to invest your first £100. I'll leave you with one final tip, in that whatever you invest in, you should be looking at least a 5-year investing time frame. You should be looking at the long term, as 5 years gives your investments long enough to make a good return. In the short term, investing can be volatile and going up and down a lot, but over a 5-year plus period, investing tends to make good returns. So that's all for this video. If you want to check out what I invest in on InvestEngine, you'll be able to find a video around here. Thanks for watching.